Let's ride.
Time for the words that are recited before each and every game here at Dodger Stadium. Take it away, Finn.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
What's going on, Dodgers fans? Hope you're all doing well out there, and thank you for listening to another episode of the Incline Dodgers podcast. We are a part of the FanSided podcast network. This is Kevin Klein, flying solo for just a couple minutes because we are really excited to bring you an exclusive one-on-one interview with Joe Kelly, the Dodgers World Series champion, to discuss his upcoming book, which is coming out in just a couple weeks. And the title of his new book is called A Damn Near Perfect Game, Reclaiming America's Pastime. So we're going to dive into that in this interview in just a couple minutes, and you're going to learn some things that I had no idea about. So hopefully you guys learn about it. You're going to go out, purchase the book, because I think this is going to be a really exciting read. This episode is brought to you by TickPick. Without TickPick, you're not getting the best deals out there. So download the TickPick app today to get $10 off right away off your first purchase of $49 or more using the promo code Incline at checkout. No service fees at checkout. They got tickets to spring training. So if you want to see your favorite Dodgers or whatever your team is, go to TickPick. You get the best prices out there. Best ticket service in my opinion. So download that TickPick app. So yeah, like I said, Joe Kelly is coming on right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed the interview. And make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to the Incline Dodgers podcast, or if you're following on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and follow us on social media, whether it's on Twitter at the Incline Pod or our Facebook and Instagram. So enjoy. Now we're joined by Joe Kelly, entering his 12th Major League season. I mean, Dodgers fans know this guy very well. He won a World Series with the Red Sox, came over with the Los Angeles Dodgers, won another World Series. Now he's at camp with the Chicago White Sox. So, Joe, first I got to ask, how's spring training going for you? You reported out there in Arizona?
Yes, so far so good. Obviously, we got a new manager. He brought along a new staff, and so far it's been a different camp. I've been a part of 14 spring trainings, I think, in total. And this is the first spring training where I've been introduced to new techniques to do the same drill that I've done the past 14 years, which is good. It keeps it entertaining, it keeps it fun. Honestly, it's some of the drills I do with my kids in our baseball practice, and now we're big leaguers, catching foam balls as hard as we can out of a machine, trying to get our hand-eye better. But it's been a smooth camp so far. And the number one thing, Pedro wanted to go over when he got the job was, it's going to be a hard camp. It's going to be intense. We're going to move fast, play fast, and go from there. And so far, he's been a man of his word. I've been sore, every day, but, now being one of the older guys on the team is just kind of weird. But no, definitely having a fun camp.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. I'm very excited to see what the White Sox do this season. I'm gonna just throw it out there. It felt like you guys had a lot of talent last season. Things just didn't go your way. But with the new manager bringing back most of your core, it does seem like the White Sox have a good season ahead of them. So that's not why you're here, though. You're here to talk about a new book, something that you've been cooking up the last year or so. So let's get into that right now. So I know Dodgers fans are going to buy this book because the premise just sounds awesome to me. And I'm talking about A Damn Near Perfect Game, Reclaiming America's Pastime. So you wrote that with Rob Bradford. So let's get it started, Joe. First, I'm going to ask, what was the inspiration behind writing this book?
Well, it's a good question, just because it was one of those things where I've always done well with shows, right? Podcasts, etc., radio shows. And Rob is one of my dearest friends. Not only is he a media member, usually the player media member relationships are kind of tainted. But from day one, I've always liked, obviously, Bradfo. And, he pitched me the idea one day when my career's over, if I would write a book with him. I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I didn't expect it to be so soon, honestly. Number one, the lockout came, right? First, we had the lockout. And so during the lockout, being from the LA area, I coached baseball. So whether it was taking my son to school, whether it was dropping him off at baseball practice, whether I was coaching a team or going to get a haircut at a barbershop, the same question was coming up over and over. Number one, when are we going to play baseball? Number two, this is just billionaires versus millionaires. Number three, like, when baseball comes back, I'm not going to be a fan anymore. I'm not going to watch. And so I don't have social media. So I was hearing these things in person, started getting irritated with it, which led to me to, kind of penned an open letter to baseball fans in general. And it was pretty much the title of it was "Don't Give Up on Baseball," and I was kind of putting all these things from that I had from the back of my mind, from pen to paper, and the Times ended up picking it up, and I guess it did pretty well. And after that, Rob was like, "Hey, man, we should write a book now because you've already had something published, right? It's going to be a lot easier to pitch to editors, publishers, book companies." So it happened a lot quicker than I expected, but it was definitely a different challenge for myself and for Rob, who's done multiple books. But I think people are definitely going to enjoy it. That's for sure.
No doubt about it. And I think the way you describe this book is the perfect portrayal of the type of character you are. It's actually very fitting that you're on this podcast. We've had because we've had a number of Dodgers relievers on in the past few years, and oftentimes we ask them who their favorite or most funny teammate is, and you almost come up every single time. And I think that translates with Dodgers fans as well. You've become a fan favorite basically everywhere you go. And I think it's because, one, you're outspoken, but two, you play with a lot of passion. And there was murals of you out in Los Angeles. You made an impact in just the few years you were here.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's good. That's one of the things I pride myself on. Not every day you're gonna perform the way you're supposed to perform, right? So, not every day you're gonna bring your A game. You're gonna try. You're definitely gonna try. But I think one thing that you can control in baseball and in all professional sports is you could bring your A game as a teammate, right? You could show up to the field and ask how people are doing. Really be genuine about it and have each other's backs, and that's something you can control. You can't always control baseball, which is something we try to do. But like I said, showing up and being a good teammate, I think is the number one priority. So writing the book, I told teammates along the line that hey, I'm writing a book, and the year ago they're like, hey, when's your book come out? I'm like, well, it's not done. Blah blah blah. When it's done, send me a book. Everyone's saying, but yeah, it was a fun process, and obviously everyone knows about the old Correa and the patty face thing. So if readers are interested in who I am, it's gonna be great because that's the first chapter that I open up with in a damn near perfect game. It's called The Power of a Pout. And it's something that I've never shied away from, and I wanted to get the reader's attention. I think that was the best way to do it, rather than save it for the middle or the back. So come out strong and kind of just go over the situation. I don't want to give everything away, but there's definitely some things in there that people are going to be surprised. And to go back to it, I think my favorite chapter of all of them is the chapter, I think it's 7 maybe. There's a whole chapter of me and the commissioner, sitting down, having a talk one-on-one, and talking about the state of baseball, whether it's rules, ownership, what else? Yeah, rules, ownership, and just kind of picking his brain with the game of baseball needs. And I don't know if this is the first player. I think I might be the first player to actually get an interview with him one-on-one. That's publicized, that's put in a book. I didn't change anything. It's pretty much a transcript of our conversation. And the reason why it became my favorite chapter is because going into this kind of thing, I have had a big issue with Rob. Obviously been suspended multiple times. And I went into it, obviously not liking him, right? Coming out of our conversation, I ended up having a slight change of heart for him, just because I got to know him on a more personal level, and I got to know that he actually does care about the game of baseball as much as I do. So I think it's going to be good for fans to see. And if you don't like him now, read the book. You might have a change of heart too.
That's fascinating to hear. It's really a turn of events. So I'm sure that's one of the biggest things I'm looking forward to. You mentioned a couple of things that I wanted to refer to. We'll go with the rules first. So in part of the description, you call out the hacks, cheats, and ridiculous rules. And obviously, this upcoming 2023 season, there's going to be some major rule changes. were there any new rules that you really had an issue with, or new rules that are being implemented that you're excited for?
Um, None have an issue. I'm excited for all the new rules, honestly. And my favorite one will probably be the no shift. As a pitcher, you probably like, whoa, like
Yeah.
why don't you run the shift? It helps you. Um, Number one, I've been hurt more by the shift than I have it helped. Right, I'm kind of like on the other side of the fence, which is we looked at all the stats for the past couple of years, and I've been burned more than pretty much anyone. Number two, I think the game of baseball has lost its athleticism. In athleticism, um, let me give you an example. I'm not trying to throw Max Muncy under the bus, but
Yeah.
with the shift being a part of baseball, we took first basemen, third basemen, outfielders, and put them in the infield, and really relied on guys who could hit. Right, if you could shift, you could throw them way deep, and anyone could play infield. I could have played big league second base. I could have played big league shortstop with a shift. So you get rid of the athleticism, and guys back in the day made careers. David Eckstein's on being a glove guy, on being able to cover the field, being athletic. And we weeded those guys out, and it's sad to see. So that's why people look at baseball players like, oh, they're not athletic, they can't move. Um, well, yeah, we did it to ourselves. We created a shift and stuck non-athletic players in the middle infield. And so now getting rid of the shift, we're bringing back jobs for more guys who deserve it, who deserve to play infield. So now we're going to bring back glove guys, which make contact. So now we're gonna have less strikeouts. There's a trickle effect to all of this kind of thing, and so that's going to be one of my favorite new rules.
Yeah, that's excellent insight, and I agree with you 100%. So the other thing that you mentioned just a few minutes ago was the pouty face with Carlos Correa, and I think most Dodgers fans in general, that's like your big moment, the thing they think of first when they talk about Joe Kelly's tenure with the Dodgers. But for me personally, it's actually the NLDS Game 2 against the Padres when you came out of the bullpen and you extinguished that fire in a crucial situation.
Bases loaded,
Yeah,
Hosmer.
I
That
I just got to ask, what was in your head? How did you do that? Like, what were you feeling? Because that was
it was.
iconic.
Yeah, I've been a part of many hectic moments, and obviously Kenley being one of the greatest of all time, most likely be a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Struggled, which everyone struggles once in a while. So I came in and I wanted to do it not only for the team, but I wanted to do it for my bullpen brother. We're brothers down there. But I knew exactly what Hosmer wanted to do. He's a free swinger. I didn't care about walking. I walk a lot of guys, but I knew that if I throw breaking balls for balls that are on the plate or for strikes on the plate, he's going to swing. Um, so I just honestly, I came with the mindset of like, I know what to do. It's a win-win. Whatever happens, happens from this point. And so I made some big pitches and got out of that. And it's very exciting. And for Kenley takes losses to heart, especially playoff losses, and he's been stung a couple times. So, I came out and he gave me the big hug. He goes, "Thank God, dude." He's like, "Thank you so much." So that's probably one of my favorite Dodger moments too. That's crazy you said that you remember that. Yeah, we were in the bubble, and that was huge. Then the Padres were obviously they knocked the Dodgers out this year, but the Padres were, that was the start of their upward trend of being a team that people talk about.
Yep. Don't remind me of that last part, but you actually stole the words right out of my mouth. Huge. That was exactly what I was going to say. So thank you, Joe, for that. This is
No
kind of
problem, man.
another kind of random question, but in terms of the 2020 season, I don't know if it's chatted about in the actual MLB players community, but there's a lot of fans online, especially, that try to diminish that season. Did you have any comments on that, or something you could just throw out there to the skeptics of why maybe 2020 was just as important as any other MLB season?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the easiest comments and to make, like the easiest way out, right? And I mean, if you just look at the actual numbers on it, it was technically the hardest postseason to get out of. We had extra teams. Number one, it was the first time where the best team in all of baseball had to actually play in a wild card game. What the hell is that? We had to play Milwaukee,
Yep.
and let's just say you make an error and then you have one pitcher blow the game. That's two losses right there in baseball. That happens all the time. That'd have been devastating for the game, for the number one team of all of baseball to get kicked out in the first round in a 3-game set. So we had to go through extra games, less rest, being in a hotel the whole time, not having home field advantage anywhere. And like I said, we had more teams to make the playoffs, so it was more chance to get taken out.
Yep.
So I think it's just the same, or I would put it even higher than a regular playoff. I think it's harder.
I agree with you 100%. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the NLCS was 7 consecutive games, no days off.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. That was wild too.
Yeah. So your book's coming out pretty soon, if I'm not mistaken. I saw on your website, which I'm going to share everywhere on our social media. It looks like it's coming out March 14th, but on Amazon, I saw you could get it maybe as early as February 28th.
Yeah, so it comes out on Amazon February 28th. So if you pre-order now, I think you'll be able to actually get it on February 28th. So make sure you go out and pre-order for sure. But I think Barnes and Noble you could get it. But I'd say Amazon's best bet for sure.
All right, sick. I had a couple more questions for you. So
Yeah, no, that
Evan Drellick recently put out a book as well, and I feel like you're probably on board with him for calling out the Astros and all that cheating scandal. But he also had a source with the Red Sox that accused the Dodgers of cheating. I don't know if you're allowed to comment on that or if it was just out of line with accusing the Dodgers of cheating in general.
I think it's a broad word of cheating. If I think if you are picking off pitcher signs from them coming set the way they come set, right? Like everyone tips. So if you're coming set and holding your ball this way in your glove, you could see it, and then you're yelling it to your teammate. That's perfectly fair. It's your fault for
Yep.
not being good at hiding your pitches. So if that's considered cheating, which is a broad term, then sure. I have my kid do it at age 5. If there's a pitcher, you know, stepping with his right foot for a fastball, stepping with his left foot for a curveball, like, all right, well, here we go. That's just a tip.
Yeah, fair enough. So, one other random question, and then I have just a finale. So, you've probably been asked this a lot, but back in 2013, the NLCS, you had a little national anthem.
Hanley.
No, not that.
Oh, there you say Hanley.
No, you can answer that too if you want, but no,
No, it's all good.
the showdown with Scott Van Slyke of the Dodgers, was that like a prank, or did you guys collaborate to do this, or did you discuss after? Because that's one of the things I remember from that series, and I was just kind of like, what's going on here? But this is hilarious.
Yeah, no, actually, it's something I did the whole season.
Okay.
We had a manager, Mike Matheny,
Yep.
who was big with supporting the national anthem, and me as a young player being a knucklehead. Um, he wanted every player on the line, so I was like, all right, I'll go to the line. I'll go to the line every game. And matter of fact, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm gonna stand out there until everybody leaves the field. I'm gonna be the last one on the field. And so I started doing that throughout the whole season, and I did it throughout the playoffs. And when it came to the playoffs, I made it even more obvious, right? So I'd stand on the line and I'd wait for the other team to leave. I'd wait for my team to leave. I'd come back to the dugout and start screaming, "Let's go, boys! We already won this game. I already beat them in the national anthem. Look, they all walked off." No, it was like just making stuff up, like they don't want it. And I think Van Slyke noticed that I did a game, whatever game before that, and he noticed that I was like celebrating and standing out on the line. And so game 5 or whatever it was, when I did it again, he caught wind and just started standing there. So he kind of caught eye of myself just being stupid pretty much, and it turned into a standoff.
Nice. All right, Joe. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Incline Dodgers. Just one final question about the book, and it's probably like 2 or 3 questions within one. But one, what are you most excited for listeners to find out when reading your new book? And 2, are there any exciting interviews or exciting gets or something revealing that you just can't wait for listeners to find out? Or sorry, readers to find out.
Yeah. So there is definitely a ton of guests. There's guys like Mark Hoppus, Blink-182. You got Rob
Favorite
Lowe.
band.
Oh yeah, he's one of my boys. There's fun stuff like that, and I think parents, if you're a parent and your kids are in youth sports, I touch on it a bunch. Please read about how to treat kids and how to coach kids at that level. They're our future, so I think that's a big part of the book. And I'm, like I said, I think I already said it before, but I think I'm most excited for people to read about me and Manfred's conversation. That's going to be a good one. And like I said, Rob's just another human being doing his job. I hope people could have a little bit of change of heart for him like I did. So it's gonna be fun.
That is just awesome. And I can't wait to read this entire thing. Every time there's a baseball book out there, especially with a Dodgers player involved, I get hyped. So
Still playing, but especially with a player still playing. Usually you do these things when you're done, right?
Yeah, that's
But
true. That is commitment right there.
Only one me.
So please support Joe Kelly. A damn near perfect game, reclaiming
February.
America's pastime.
February 28th.
There you go. We'll have the website, all the links below. We'll promote the heck out of this because I want to make sure the entire baseball community gets exposed. So looking forward to that. Joe Kelly, thank you so much for coming on. Wish you the best of luck this upcoming season and your future endeavors.
Kevin, appreciate it. KK to JK.
Yeah.
All right, bro.